Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. I appreciate your time. Thank you for watching. Last night, at the close of their business day, even though they mailed it in, the ATF decided that they were going to be tyrannical a little more and try to take away our right. They don't even have the ability to do this, but they did it anyway. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about the frame and receiver rule that they pushed upon us back in August. That was their way of stopping the sale of ghost guns or 80% builds and making manufacturers of them serialize them and making FFLs serialize them if they were selling them and they weren't already serialized, saying that this inanimate block of plastic is a firearm. This came after the Vanderstock case, which is still going on, and in part of the lawsuit in the court proceedings, the ATF said in the Vanderstock case that frames can still be sold. Remember that it came out that as long as they weren't sold with the jig or the tools necessary, or as long as the instructions weren't included, then it wasn't readily convertible, their term. Just pay attention to that, readily convertible, because we're going to see it here. But as long as it didn't have that stuff all in one box anymore, it was no longer readily convertible. And since it was said in that lawsuit, some businesses began to sell these items again. Well, the ATF saw that people read and paid attention, and that the ATF couldn't just fib in court and not have anybody catch it. Well, they've came out yesterday with this modernization of the definition of firearm. Now, before I show you this open letter that came out yesterday and we talk about this, the ATF is a non-elected bureaucracy that does not have the ability nor the power, the constitutional power, to create or edit or change law. They don't have that power. However, they modernized this definition and they don't have the power legally to do it. So, for everybody who's going to type in, oh, they can't do that, you are 100% right. I am still bringing you what happened yesterday. And if you're an FFL, you should have gotten this open letter. I talked to a couple of my FFL friends yesterday and they didn't see this. So I will attach this in the description and in the pinned comment so that all of my FFL viewers will have a copy of this, because this is no friggin' bueno. Now here's the first page of this 10-page open letter document that is meant for all federal firearms licensees. 10 pages. I'm going to give you the highlights of it if you want this document. It is linked down below, but this is their clarification, the ATF's clarification of the application of frames and receivers, and specifically the final rule on certain semi-automatic pistol frames. It says the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives issued an open letter today to all federal firearms licensees regarding the application of Final Rule 2021-05 Foxtrot, definition of frame or receiver, and identification of firearms on partially complete Polymer 80, Lone Wolf, and similar semi-automatic pistol frames. In April of 2022, the Department of Justice announced a new frame and receiver final rule which modernizes the definition of a firearm. Again, they do not have the congressional power to do that. The final rule, which went into effect in August of 2022, clarifies that parts kits that are readily convertible to firearms are subject to the same regulations as firearms made by federal firearms licensed manufacturers. So what they're now saying is that an unfinished frame, what has been an 80% frame, and I'm going to have to dig out some documents from a long time ago, and my friend who watches this channel, Alan, he will have this for me, and he'll probably text it to me when he watches this. But I am 97% sure that the 80% term was created by ATF. This was one of their doings when this was being determined years ago, that, this stage of a frame receiver is not a firearm until the end user or a manufacturer does something to it to create that final firearm, to make it a functioning firearm. So now the ATF is going back on what they created. It's like they're a flip-flopping agency. They've done it numerous times on frames and receivers. They've done it I don't know, 5 times on pistol braces. They do it regularly, and they don't have the friggin' power to do this, yet here we are. I mean, they think they have some stroke. Let's get back to this. Partially complete Polymer 80, Lone Wolf, and similar striker-fired semi-automatic pistol frames, including but not limited to those sold within parts kits, are regulated by the Gun Control Act because they have reached a stage of manufacture where they may readily be completed, assembled, restored, or otherwise converted to a functional frame. The definition of readily applies to each classification of a partially complete frame or receiver under this rule, whether sold alone or as a part of a kit. Therefore, even without any associated templates, jigs, molds, equipment, tools, instructions, guides, or marketing materials, these partially complete pistol frames are frames and firearms as defined in the Gun Control Act and its implementing regulations. So now they're saying that a chunk of raw aluminum needs to have a serial number on it if it's sold, because people could technically make that into a firearm readily. Now, there are a lot of factors that go into readily, and the ATF even discussed this. Section 478.11 defines readily as a process, action, or physical state that is fairly or reasonably efficient, quick, and easy, but not necessarily the most efficient, speediest, or easiest process, action, or physical state. With respect to the classification of firearms, factors relevant in making this determination will include the following. Time, example, how long it takes to finish the process. Ease, how difficult it is to do. Expertise, what knowledge and skills are required. Equipment, what tools are required. Parts availability, whether additional parts are required and how easily they can be obtained. Expense, how much it costs. Scope, the extent to which the subject of the process must be changed to finish it. And finally, feasibility, whether the process would damage or destroy the subject of the process or cause it to malfunction. I guess the easy way to get people to grasp what's going on here is think of a sandwich, okay? If I go to the store and I go to the deli counter and I ask for some sliced turkey, okay, we'll use that as an example. The ATF is now saying, if you relay this to gun world, that turkey is a sandwich because it's readily convertible to a sandwich. Even though I need other parts, just like you just can't have an unfinished frame or receiver, you need a slide, an upper parts kit, a lower parts kit, a barrel, a recoil spring, sights, magazine, okay? Those are all parts you need to complete that firearm. Well, now the ATF is saying that just one of those parts, whether it's finished or not, it's a firearm, and thus under the Gun Control Act. So my shaved or sliced turkey is now a sandwich, according to them, because it's readily convertible, regardless that I don't have the other, key components to my sandwich. I don't have bread, lettuce, tomato, condiments. I don't have cheese. I don't have whatever it takes to make a sandwich. That's when it becomes a sandwich. But the ATF is saying just that sliced turkey is now a sandwich. That's a pretty good comparison. I'm actually getting hungry now talking about a sandwich, but that's what they're saying, that just the frame, unfinished, as it lies in a box, injected molded plastic, that's a firearm. And it doesn't have a single part in it, doesn't have a trigger, none of that's in it, none of it's near it, but it's now a firearm. And here's a quote from the ATF director, Steve Dettelbach, who is an ass clown himself. He said, "Today's open letter is another important step in implementing the crucial public safety rule regarding privately made firearms or ghost guns. The partially completed pistol frames described in this open letter are readily convertible to functioning firearms under the Gun Control Act. Ghost guns can kill like other firearms if they are in the wrong hands, so they are treated as firearms under the law. This means that they must have serial numbers so that law enforcement can trace if they are used in crimes like other guns, and also that those engaged in the business of selling them must be licensed dealers and run background checks." So a privately made firearm can kill people. Yes, so can this pen. Number 2 lead pencil. Anybody seen John Wick? I mean, you can do damage with any implement. It's the manner in which it's used, and then it's the heart and minds of the people wielding these items. So the ATF, we were expecting something to drop today, the pistol brace rule, but instead we got another FU to the world of frames and receivers, which makes me think the pistol brace rule is coming really quick. Because the court date is this afternoon. I will keep my eyes and ears open. I didn't want to give you another video late last night because this would have just ruined your evening, but this did come out last night at the close of business as I was going out to dinner. The ATF decided they were going to say F you to the Second Amendment. Guys and gals, be safe, stay vigilant, and carry a gun to keep you, your friends, your family, your community safe. And if you love the Second Amendment, if you love our freedom in this country, if you love individual liberty, then subscribe to Guns and Gadgets because I'm going to get you that information every single day. This amendment, this particular amendment, the Second Amendment, the one that keeps Americans free from government tyranny, is under attack every single day from every angle, whether it's federal, state, or local, and I bring it to you daily. And I hope that you consider joining this growing freedom family. I look forward to seeing you on the next video. Have a great day. Take care.